Podcast land, it is that time, the time you love, the time you dread. Wednesday night into Thursday morning, it is time for your favorite politically incorrect podcast. Yes, it is time for Sports Frenzy 2.0 with the conquistador Dave Heights.
And that is the maestro Kevin Crane.
Taping here on January the 31st, 2024. This will hit early on February the 1st.
After 78 days, we finally got through January.
And sadly, only one football game left.
Ugh.
No, we're not counting the UFL.
No, we are not. Sorry, kids.
Only one football game left. Even though there is dissension in the ranks of the Sports Frenzy panel about NASCAR, thank God for NASCAR. At least you'll still have something going on Sundays.
Yeah, at least we have that.
Yes. But we have to break down last Sunday's AFC and NFC championship games. Two very good games.
Mostly good games.
Oh, boy. I sense a party pooper. Dave's going to poop on the party
No,
here.
they were good games. It's the two losing teams gave the games away.
Oh, yes.
More than
Agreed
the winning
completely.
teams won it.
Agree completely. We'll start off, of course, with the early game. The Kansas City Chiefs going into Baltimore to play the Ravens, number 3 seed versus number 1 seed. Completely agree with you, number 1. Second half, the Chiefs went into a shell and basically ran the most milquetoast safe offense they could. And the Ravens had every chance to take that game away from them.
They did. It was absolutely pathetic. Where was this vaunted Ravens defense?
And they still held the Chiefs to 17 points.
But my
you're right.
God, how can you leave Kelsey that wide frickin' open all game long?
Yes.
That was inexcusable.
Yep. And now he made some great catches.
He
especially
did.
In the first 2.5 quarters.
Yeah, they held him in check fairly well. He made some tough grabs, but there were too many times where he was wide open.
Right. Pacheco did okay, but not great. They kept Rashee Rice in check. But you're right. Kelsey was the one deciding factor when it came to, especially early in the game, moving the ball down, scoring, getting a big lead. And then the Ravens...
Over 100 yards receiving in the first half.
And then the Ravens self-destructed in the second half.
Yeah.
Again, could have won the game. I think they were the better team overall.
They were, but their whole offense revolves around the run game.
And they did not run.
They did not run the entire day. Why?
And this is what I don't understand with them. I don't understand. They try to bring in Dalvin Cook. You know, they try to bring in Melvin Gordon. They try anything and everything they can to piece together some semblance of a running game, but it just seems like they're not really trying all that hard because they still end up going to Gus Edwards. And
Edwards, he was making some gains.
How many touches did he have?
Not that many.
Didn't even get to double digits, I don't think.
Why the hell, Lamar? There were, 3 designed runs? That's not their game. They revolve around him running the ball.
He's the MVP of the goddamn league.
And he did not play like it. They did not call a game the way they had the entire season. They completely threw out their winning formula. And it cost them. Deservedly so.
Yeah, and early on, they got lucky. Now, later on, they self-destructed and they made their own mistakes that they have to own up to. But the one throw where he gets batted back to him and he still turns it into a 10, 15-yard positive play was incredible.
Yeah, that was great hand-eye coordination.
Great instinct.
Shows what a great athlete he is.
Right. But at the same time, as you and I have said all season long, and we're not disputing the fact that for the regular season, and again, I think the MVP should include the playoffs, and that's in all sports, not just the NFL.
Absolutely.
All sports should include postseason play. It's not fair to the ones that don't. Screw the ones that don't make it.
Well, guess what?
They're obviously not good enough to be MVP if they couldn't get to the playoffs.
And guess what? if your regular season MVP is all that, he should be able to carry the team through the playoffs. Sorry, you can lose the MVP in the playoffs by pissing on yourself, which Lamar did.
Terrible pick. Terrible, terrible, terrible pick. Now, he can't be blamed for the Zay Flowers fumble.
No,
But those 2 turnovers in the end zone destroyed the Ravens. Destroyed the Ravens. I mean,
and then Flowers with that stupid taunting penalty. Inexcusable. That cost him a touchdown.
Well, and you had personal foul penalties because they were trying. It looked to me like they were trying to take Patrick Mahomes out.
They were trying to hit him.
There were a couple hits to the helmet.
Yeah.
Now, most of them got caught. I still think one they got away with.
There was one egregious one that they should have been called.
And God knows I am not a Patrick Mahomes fan. Everybody knows I am not an Andy Reid fan.
And then you had legitimate shots to hit Mahomes when he was running, and they just let him walk right by him. Why? You had him lined up. You could have hit him, but he gains an extra 5-10 yards on you because you won't hit him as he's a runner. That's when he's fair game, not when he's sitting back in the pocket.
Right. And he was diving. He was not sliding.
No, he was diving.
That makes him a runner.
Hit him.
Yes, you can hit him.
Even when he's on the ground, you can hit him when he dives.
Right. So once again, the Chiefs advance to yet another Super Bowl. And I'm not saying they don't deserve it. They won this game. Now, is it in a lot part due to the ineptitude, the turnovers from the Ravens? Absolutely.
Yes.
But
there are
times when you got a lead, and if you think your defense, which this year that defense has been stellar. Steve Spagnuolo's defense has been unbelievable this year.
Yep, they have been very stingy in the second half.
So I am not criticizing the Chiefs at all. They won. They deserve to win the game. The Ravens made the 2 critical turnovers. If it wasn't for one of them you get back. You at least get a field goal and keep yourself in contention later on in the game.
Yeah.
If not getting a touchdown with the Zay Flowers fumble. But you can't change that. That happens. That's why we love the game. That's why we watch. Tens of millions of people watching these games because it's the drama. It's the drama, Dave.
The drama of it all.
Yeah. So Lamar Jackson will again win MVP, but as we've talked about here tonight, I still think you've got to include the postseason. And in this case, that would probably make Patrick Mahomes the MVP again. Hate to say it, but his numbers this year weren't stellar.
Or it could vault Brock Purdy.
He would have to win the Super Bowl. Nice segue, by the way.
He's brought his team back twice.
Yes, and we're going to move on now to that game. So we'll bring in Brock Purdy. And we will move on to the late game last Sunday night.
Yep, the Lions at the 49ers. A tale of 2 halves.
Absolutely.
Detroit was destroying the Niners. What were they doing on offense? Running the damn ball. The Niners could not stop Gibbs and Montgomery. They could do what they wanted. Roll into the second half. Gibbs had the fumble.
Yep.
And they went away from the run. One fumble does not mean go away from the run. Why the hell did you stop letting Montgomery touch the ball? He was running. He was getting more yards per carry than McCaffrey was.
Yep, because that second half, you're right, that was key. Now, the end of the first half was also very, very important because with a sizable lead, the Lions could have kicked a field goal.
Yep, they had a chance to just get points. But Campbell on fourth and short wanted to go for the jugular. And they didn't get it. And it was a stupid effing pass on 4th and less than 1. You hand off to Montgomery and you have a first down. Why are you passing in that situation?
So that set everything up for the second half because you had the 49ers come out with the ball because they deferred.
Yep.
They go down, score, and then, like you said, Gibbs fumbles, gives the ball right back to the 49ers. Momentum shifts completely. The analytics people, I love this. Heard this multiple times this
Oh,
week.
they've only got a 70%.
No, there is no such thing to the analytics geeks as momentum. Momentum does not exist
Bullshit.
to the analytics geeks.
Momentum is everything in sports.
It's everything in life.
Yeah. It's the crowd. It's everything.
Confidence. You build confidence. When things start going your way, you
get
feel better.
The lucky break. Ayuk catches the pass for a touchdown after it bounces off the Lions defender's face mask.
Yes, and the football gods shined on the 49ers on that play, and they took it and they ran with it, literally and figuratively. Ran with it. After that, they said, all right, we're destined to win this game. Let's do it. Yeah. And like you said, Brock Purdy showed up again late in the game, played brilliantly, had a couple runs.
He had some great runs, using his legs to make the plays that needed to be made. Kudos to him.
And everybody, let me tell you this, everybody talks about all these great weapons he's got. Where was George Kittle?
Non-existent.
George Kittle is still the most overrated tight end in the league, in my opinion. Oh my God. Deebo Samuel was hurt, I know, but he did a little bit. McCaffrey, as much as you have problems with him for one particular instance in this game, he stayed healthy this year.
This is a miracle he did stay healthy.
Even though at the end of the game they had to massage his neck.
Yeah, but still, I have to give the China Doll credit for this year.
Yes. He could be MVP.
He could be.
He could be MVP. If, again, you played by sports frenzy rules and counted the postseason.
Yeah. Now, I did have an issue with McCaffrey on one play. We talked about in the first game, Flowers getting the taunting penalty for throwing the ball down and standing over.
Yeah, one of the
Chiefs defenders.
One of the stupid second half penalties the Ravens got against the Chiefs.
McCaffrey did the same damn thing after running for a first down. He got up, threw the ball down, and stood over the Lions defender. Nothing was done. Exact same thing. Flowers gets flagged, McCaffrey gets away with it. They want consistency. You want to take taunting out, you have to hit everybody with it.
Well, and it's not fixed because now we know, because the Ravens didn't make it, and the purple in the Super Bowl 58 logo now proves that it's not fixed.
The NFL deliberately did that just to take it out so they can go right back to it next year.
A conspiracy theory to debunk the conspiracy theory.
Boom.
All right, so we've got our Super Bowl set. Of course, next week we will have our picks for you. 49ers versus the Chiefs in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Let the money roll into the casinos and sports books.
Yep, the ticket prices right now hovering right around $1,000 minimum to get in.
Ridiculous.
It's fine. I will sit at home eating Doritos and watching it on TV.
There we go.
Now, of course, you know who's doing the game this year.
I know, it's frickin' CBS.
I'm going to have to mute it. I had to mute the end.
Oh, my God.
Of the Ravens-Chiefs game. I had to. I couldn't put up with him anymore. I couldn't.
It was bad.
He is just such an idiot. I mean, he said some things that...
Didn't he once again...
You would hear more insightful analysis from a guy who has had 15 beers at your local bar
than what you get from Tony Romo.
At this point in the game, I'm paraphrasing, at this point in the game, the ball is the most important thing.
No shit, Sherlock. Isn't it throughout the entire damn game?
Now I'm hearing people talking about the other side with Fox and, of course, Tom Brady.
What are you going to get with him?
Right now, because Burkhardt and Olsen are technically done.
Yeah.
And Tom says he's been doing a couple, fake games.
Test runs. He's been practicing, and trying to
I feel
learn.
so bad for Greg Olson. So bad. And
I
I've heard
know.
some people say, no, you just because it's pity. No, it's not pity. He's actually
He
damn
actually
good.
does a pretty good job.
He's actually damn good. I still think, and the consensus, I think, agrees with me, Troy Aikman's the best.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's
But
Aikman,
Olson's damn
Olson,
good.
and,
The-
and then a
I
bunch
actually
of.
heard somebody today say Baldinger. Brian Baldinger. Now, he's not doing games right now. He's only on radio. He's not doing them in the TV booth, but a lot of people like him, too.
He's pretty good. I've
Some
heard
people
some of
like
his
Jonathan
calls.
Vilma.
But, God, just Romo and Collinsworth are like the bottom of the heap.
Well, Romo makes Collinsworth look good.
And that's sad.
Yes.
That's really sad.
All right, so let's get into some other NFL news. And of course, we will break down the Super Bowl next week ad nauseum. But speaking of the Detroit Lions, whether you liked the game plan that Dan Campbell came up with, whether you like him going for it all the time on fourth down instead of kicking the field goals, good news. Ben Johnson, their offensive coordinator, is staying put.
Yep. Good luck with the crap second half that he called. But
well, supposedly the money he wanted
to go to Washington,
told Washington and Seattle, nope, no, thank you, no, thank you. Supposedly wanted more than Jim Harbaugh.
Oh, come on!
That's what I heard.
Then he doesn't want to be a head coach. That tells me he doesn't want to be a head coach.
That might have been an exaggeration. I did hear it from a reputable source, but only one.
Be. Maybe he realizes I'm not ready to be a head coach yet. I'm a good coordinator. Let this develop, see how things go, and eventually do it. How many coordinators have we seen jump and fail miserably?
Yeah, I know, but look at the coordinators we've seen this year, especially Dan Quinn with the Cowboys, with an awful showing against the Packers, pretty much probably cost himself a job.
Yeah.
Because he's not getting the Seattle job now, obviously. There's only one opening, and that's Washington. God knows with their trust, their brain trust there, they're dragging their feet to the point where it's no different than what they had with Dan Snyder. Yeah. Meet the new boss, same as the old boss, except without the sexual harassment.
Yeah, paralysis by analysis.
Oh, my God.
They should have been one of the first DM teams to jump.
Yep, so Ben Johnson stays put, turns down all the teams he interviewed with. The last two playing coaching musical chairs, Washington and Seattle. Seattle just made their move. They take the Ravens defensive coordinator, Mike Macdonald. Can I just tell you something, by the way, how fucking confusing this is going to be now? I got Mike Macdonald with the Ravens. I've got Mike McDaniel with the Dolphins. I got Kevin O'Connell with the Vikings. How am I supposed to keep these fuckers separate? Come up with a name. Tell your mom to. I never thought I would want some of these newer names, like Precious McDaniel or something. Just give me a different fucking name. I will get these three.
At least you got Raheem Morris down in Atlanta.
Yeah. Thanks for reminding me to take out the recycle bin tonight, Dave. Jesus. But I can't. I'm going to confuse these three for the next 2 or 3 years until one of them gets fired. Mike McDonald, Mike McDaniel, Kevin O'Connell. Jesus Christ.
Kevin O'Connell should be easy.
Where's John Smith? Tim Jones. Good Lord.
Where's the old school Bum Phillips?
Yeah. Rex Ryan. God, just give me a football name.
Ditka.
Of course, Ditka. So now Ben Johnson isn't the only offensive coordinator who was a hot commodity. Staying put. Bobby Slowick The Texans OC gets an extension for 1
Yep.
year, gets a nice little raise, so he stays. So both the Lions and the Texans, teams that really, younger teams that really, now with the Lions, they kind of met expectations, I guess, maybe
They did
exceeded a little bit.
a little bit, but they're still primed. They've got the continuity needed.
Right.
Texans really needed the continuity with a super young upstart team, rookie quarterback. Keeping things stable there is huge.
Yep. So both those teams looking like, again, if Dan Campbell would just take the fucking field goal once in a while, both those teams are primed for great 2024-2025 seasons. Other head coaches, as Dave said, the Falcons bypass Bill Belichick and go with Raheem Morris, who supposedly now in his time away has learned how to be a better head coach.
We'll see.
Of course, formerly Rams defensive coordinator back in the day, ran my Buccaneers into the fucking ground. And the Panthers, speaking of the Buccaneers, poor Dave Canales.
Oh, Dave.
He's the one. He
Dave.
gets the booby prize. Dave Canales, Tampa Bay offensive coordinator, takes the nightmare job. He will be the head coach for the Carolina Panthers and the boss from hell, David Tepper.
Yep, we'll see if Canales can get a season in.
Oh my! If you can't fire him, you can't fire him after one season. I mean, that would send the worst of all signals to the league.
Yeah, Tepper is such a moron. He has no idea what the hell he's doing.
Now, I will say this is what I expected. I told you that they were going to get a low-level coordinator, somebody you wouldn't expect because no big-time guy was ever going to work for this guy, ever take this job. He has got to do some image reparation, some damage.
Tepper better have put a shit ton of stuff in writing for Canales.
So we'll see how that all works out. In terms of coordinators, the Bears got their new defensive coordinator, Eric Washington, former Bills defensive line coach. Now he has a long history with the Bears and Bears-related coaches. He worked with Lovie Smith in Chicago, worked with Ron Rivera in Carolina before the evil one came in. So we'll see. We'll see how it works out. The Artie Party is moving from Atlanta to Pittsburgh. I don't understand this hire. Can I just say this? I don't understand this. The Steelers have had so much trouble over the last year or two with the offensive coordinator position. They fired Matt Canada,
which needed to be done.
But then they decide they don't want the interim guy. So they bring in a guy who frustrated everybody with not using Bijan Robinson, not using Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
What are you going
to
And now you're going to put Kenny Pickett in this guy's hands. This is the guy who said, "Oh, I want Desmond Ridder. No, I want Taylor Heineke. No, I want Desmond Ridder. I want Taylor Heineke."
No. He used to be indecisive. Now he's not so sure.
Ba-doom-ba. Dave will be playing at the Riviera this weekend. 2 shows on Sunday.
That's right. Somebody has to replace Shecky.
If you don't get that, go back in the archives a week or two. Boston College head coach. Just news breaking today. Jeff Hafley is leaving the college ranks. Wants to be the new Green Bay defensive coordinator.
Wow, that's really late in the game for a college coach to jump.
Yeah, that's going to hose Boston College. That is going to hose Boston College. Now, of course, Boston College will go and poach somebody from one of the smaller divisions, and then they'll be screwed, and then they're going to screw a D2 team, and on.
It's a vicious cycle.
Well, the Eagles weren't kidding. The Eagles kept Nick Sirianni, but they have revamped anything and everything other than the head coach. Vic Fangio leaves the Dolphins, of course. He is now the new Eagles defensive coordinator. Kellen Moore leaves the Chargers, of course, with Jim Harbaugh coming in. He wants his own guys. So Kellen Moore takes over as the Philly offensive coordinator.
And gee, either one of those, probably more likely that Moore could be your new head coach in waiting in Philly
They
should
could go
things
either
go off
way.
the rails.
I mean,
Fangio didn't fare well in Denver, but that was during a time when Denver was just a disaster
right.
that carried over.
And we talked about this here the last week or two, talking about Cliff Kingsbury, why the Bears didn't bring him in as the new OC, have that coach in waiting. They didn't want to put
on
the
the cheap.
pressure on precious Matt Eberflus.
Yep.
And then, of course, my man Ken Dorsey, the last Miami Hurricanes quarterback to win a title, unceremoniously dumped by the Bills. He has found a new home as the Browns OC. Good luck dealing with Deshaun Massage Parlor Watson.
Yep. Oh, come on. He's got Tommy Reese on his staff.
Oh, good Lord. Oh, good Lord. Yeah. Now we got the Notre Dame Miami shit again. It always comes back to Notre Dame Miami. Catholics versus convicts. Always comes back to that.
Oh, goodness.
In the NCAA game, kind of a no-brainer, even though I don't know if I like this hire. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm an asshole, but Michigan went the easy way with replacing Jim Harbaugh. They went with Sharon Moore, who, of course, was the interim coach during Jim Harbaugh's suspension.
They're trying to keep some stability with the program.
He just seems a little too touchy-feely for me. A little too, oh my God, this is such a great opportunity. Oh my God. Okay, do you need a box of tissues?
Maybe.
On the sidelines when we interview you now every weekend when you win a game?
Potentially.
I want the tough guys. We just talked about this guy.
Let's see how Rex Ryan does. Let's give him the opportunity.
I mean, I'd rather have Rex Ryan with the foot fetish than Sharon Moore crying every time he wins a game. Oh my God. God bless me for this opportunity. Oh my God. Shut up and win games.
You kind of wonder if they got the vajankle from Mr. In Between from Ryan.
I wonder if he has a vajankle.
He has a whole collection, I'm sure, in various shades.
What's he going to do when his wife is off on a business conference? And of course, Tennessee. This is interesting to wrap up segment one. Man. Well, of course, we're going nonstop.
That's right.
But we do have to take pee breaks. So even though you won't know it, there will be a subtle pause of like 2 or 3 seconds. And that means Dave and I are urinating and drinking more beer. But Tennessee, after just getting not a slap on the wrist, not hammered, but they had issues with their former head coach where they got fined. Now they're under investigation again for NIL violations. And of course, we all know
Florida State.
Well, now the attorneys general, and I got that right, attorneys general of Tennessee and Virginia, for some reason, jumping in here, they are suing the NCAA over these NIL rules. And you figured this was coming.
You knew it had to be coming. How can you tell them to do one thing, and then when they do it, you say, no, you're doing it all wrong. You're giving too much. No, you set the rules. They're playing by it. That's what you get.
Yep. And I heard something over the weekend ridiculous, but probably true. Because we've talked about Brock Purdy and how his low contract, being Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick in the draft, last year's draft, not this past year before, allows the 49ers to keep all their other stars. Somebody said at least 11 college players making more money than Brock Purdy through NIL.
God, that's scary. All right, and you know what else is scary? We're losing another platform for our podcast. Radio Public's days are numbered. But you know what? Until then, you can still find us on Spotify, Google, Still Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Apple, Overcast, Castbox, Amazon, Audible, and iHeart Sports Frenzy 2.0, baby.
Otherwise known as, of course, iHeartRadio. Yes, it is sad. We lost Stitcher last year at the end of August.
Breaker a while back before.
And now we're losing Radio Public, shutting down at the end of March. But as Dave said, for the next couple months, if you're on Radio Public and you love it, stick around or find another platform. There's
Lord
plenty.
knows we tell you every week where we're at.
Don't forget to check out the Facebook page. Of course, you'll have our Super Bowl picks, I would imagine, when we do this next Wednesday, if these lazy bums on our panel can't get me one goddamn pick. Different when there's 25, 26 games. One game.
One game.
I've got over half of them in already. But, of course, then we will be starting up with NASCAR, and that's another point of contention. Don't want to draw you people into the drama here with Sports Frenzy and the internal workings, but
and the whiny little bitches that we have to deal with.
The NASCAR is out of the Penta Frenzy, our 5 competitions every year, is the one that half the panel doesn't like because they don't like NASCAR.
Boo frickin' who.
So we got half the panel loves NASCAR, half the panel hates NASCAR. And of course Doug wants pickleball and water polo and horse racing. It's like Live Golf versus the PGA. Except nobody's getting paid. Sorry, money.
Yeah, exactly. Oh.
All right. Speaking of racing, why don't we move on to racing here with
why not?
Couple little things to discuss. This weekend, of course, is the Busch Light Clash.
Yep, we just had the 24 hours of Daytona, or should we say the 23 hours and 58 and a half minutes of Daytona, because somebody screwed up and threw the checkered flag a lap too soon. But overall, the Penske Porsche won it. So there you go.
And that is the first win at the Rolex 24 for Roger Penske since 1969.
Yep.
Now, there was a break in there.
Yeah,
it's not like
he wasn't.
They've
he
been
hasn't
running
competed
continuously
every year.
Right.
But yeah, he's been back in it for the last few seasons.
Interesting news today on an entertainment front. The national anthem before the Busch Light Clash at the Coliseum. Guitar. Nita Strauss.
Really?
Alice Cooper's guitarist.
The lovely Nita Strauss.
The lovely Nita Strauss will be performing our national anthem on guitar before the Busch Light Clash at the Coliseum.
Nice.
So I'm kind of
intrigued.
digging that.
I'm intrigued.
And I believe I also heard, I can't remember if it's Daytona or the Coca-Cola 600. Matchbox 20 is going to be playing a pre-race
concert
at some point during the season at one of the big races. Now in F1, the Andretti Cadillac team has been denied.
Of course they were, because F1 are a bunch of European elitist assholes.
They were trying to become the 11th team allowed to compete in F1. Now they have been told they have to wait until at least 2028.
Absolute bullshit.
Because they don't make their own engines yet. GM says they have got an engine manufacturing setup ready to go in 2028.
Why? Everybody else buys engines from other manufacturers. Why the hell are you not going to allow them to do it?
Andretti and Cadillac thought they were going to be able to set up a temporary deal with Renault. Not allowed. So F1 says no.
Bullshit. This is an opportunity for them to rewrite their rules to suck more money out of Andretti to join.
There you go.
That's what it is, because the current agreement expires, I think, in 2025, maybe 2026 for the buy-in. And for the last couple of years, they've been bitching about that. Oh, it's going to be too low. trying to keep Andretti out. Now they found a loophole, force him out a little bit longer so they can suck even more money out of him. I am so sick of the way Formula One is run. It's absolutely pathetic. And the racing isn't all that damn good.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
There is no competition in Formula One. It's crap.
Yeah.
Overhyped, overblown, overpriced.
Moving on to baseball. Interesting stuff this week in baseball. Not necessarily, the free agent market going nutsy cuckoo crazy yet, but we had some second tier signings.
A few minor deals here and there.
Of course, the Cubs. And I'm liking this so far. They're showing restraint. They're adding pieces when they can, where they can. They bring in Hector Neris, 1 year, $9 million deal to shore up the bullpen. I like it. I wanted Josh Hader, but again, that contract he signed.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. So, Rice Hoskins, of course, formerly for many, many years, first baseman for the Phillies, goes to the Brewers. 2 years, $34 million. Of course, there is the opt-out.
Of course, there's always an opt-out anymore.
Guy who stole money from the Cubs. Not his fault. Cubs were idiots to give him the deal they did. Trey Mancini signs a minor league deal with the Marlins. Justin Turner, a very interesting guy who was hanging out there, could serve as a DH now for anybody, of course,
right?
Because it's both leagues. But he stays in the American League.
Toronto, I believe.
Yes, 1 year, $13 million. Goes back to the American League, I should say. Sorry, started with the Red Sox, went to the Dodgers, goes back now to the Blue Jays in the AL East. Jock Peterson goes to the Diamondbacks on a 1 year, $9.5 million deal. And another really good guy we had in the bullpen for us, David Robertson, goes to the defending world champion Rangers. 1 year deal somewhere in the neighborhood of $11 to $12 million.
Yep. Hey, did you hear? White Sox have a new TV play-by-play voice. John Schifrin.
Okay.
Brought over from ESPN.
I
haven't looked that into that Goomba.
I have no idea who he is.
Me neither. Whoop-de-frickin-do. So there's your replacement for Jason Benetti.
That should be good for another 6 or 7 wins. Sorry.
Get rid of one of the best young play-by-play voices. Let him go off to Detroit.
Okay, he went to Detroit. I was just going to ask you. I can't remember where he went again.
Yeah, basically he went to Detroit because Detroit was going to allow him to be himself, and it sounded like the Sox were going to try and stifle him. Because Reinsdorf's a piece of shit owner.
There's hope. Let me just tell you this, Dave. In life, there is hope.
Yeah, there's always hope when the current owner expires and a new ownership group takes over.
Or they can sell the team.
After they get the new stadium in the loop.
Case in point. No. Case in point. The Baltimore Orioles. The big headlines of the week here. In Major League Baseball, the Angelos family, having owned the Orioles for over 30 years, are now selling the team for $1.725 billion to a couple guys who look like they will be more than happy to spend money on the team, whereas the Angelos did not.
No, well, you've got a solid team now, so they're selling high.
Right, solid young team.
Yeah.
So, I'll tell you what, the AL East is turning into a beast of a division now.
Yes, it is.
Now, if the Orioles get an influx of money where they will actually become attractive for free agents on top of the young players they can now keep and re-sign in perpetuity, on top of the Yankees, on top of the Red Sox, the Blue Jays have money now.
Yeah.
And the Rays are just goddamn smart.
Yep. They might be able to compete with the billions spent by the Dodgers.
No, we'll save that. We'll save the Dodgers hate for another day. There's plenty of time.
There's plenty of hate to give to the Dodgers.
Plenty of time and plenty of hate to disperse all over the Dodgers' face. That sounded a little sexy. Sorry, kids. What do I care? We're explicit.
That's right. The Dodgers are the whores of baseball.
Dodgers have the prettiest teeth they ever came across. Oh, God. Let's talk about positive stuff. Can we do some Clint Eastwood badasses of the week?
Yes, I think we shall.
I got a couple for you. Now, one is personal, near and dear to my heart. Recently on Jeopardy, there was a question about baseball. And it ended up the answer was Albert Pujols. The gentleman on the panel of three, the contestants, who ended up answering the question. And at least they gave him credit, because they really could have been dicks and said, no, that is not correct the way you stated it. But he said, when it was time, he buzzed in, and when it was time to answer the question, he said, the wretched Albert Pujols. Go Cubs! Go Cubs!
Yes. Wow. And this was Wheel?
No, Jeopardy.
Or on Jeopardy. Okay.
Yes.
Who is the wretched? Yes. Okay.
No, even if he says who is, he did. Yeah. He did that. I didn't. I'm sorry. I broke Jeopardy's rules.
But they got it in there. The answer was in there, so
you can elaborate like that?
Why not?
You know, the pedophile Bill Clinton, I can say that and still get credit.
Why not?
Evil bastard Jeffrey Epstein. You're allowed to embellish like that? Okay.
Yeah. The assassination queen bitch Hillary Clinton. Clinton.
All right. So I got to give that guy credit. As a Cubs fan, that was the perfect answer.
That was good.
Who is the wretched Albert Pujols? Go Cubs. Awesome. He's a badass. The NFL Network's Peter Schrager, who I like. I think he is a great guy who does, Good Morning Football Monday through Friday, every morning. I think he is one of the top analysts. Very funny guy. Pop culture guru. Did you know this about my badass of the week, Peter Schrager? Peter Schrager has predicted before the season the last 4 Super Bowl winners. And he has predicted Kansas City before this season, predicted Kansas City to win this year. He could go 5 for 5. Before the season. We're not talking about picking, the Super Bowl a week before. He did this before the season. 4 for 4 could be 5 for 5. So he's got an
in with the head office to find out where the fix is going.
He's the one that's telling them what colors to put in the logos for the Super Bowls. And he fucked with them a little bit this year. Said, put purple in for the Ravens. Yeah. All right. Do you want to talk about your Blackhawks?
No, there's really nothing to talk about.
Well, the season's, over halfway over now?
Yeah, there is that. I guess that's the positive.
All-Star break starts tomorrow as we tape. Blackhawks are 14-34-2. They have 30 points. Unfortunately, now
they are behind
the San Jose Sharks.
Yep, we knew it was coming. It's a slow build.
Again, without Connor, just a shame about Connor Bedard.
Yeah, it is.
Losing precious time to develop. All right, NCAA hoops, Notre Dame sucks. 7-13. Miami struggling as well, which is driving me absolutely fucking nuts.
Actually, I think Notre Dame's
Drives me
doing
nuts.
better than expected with an underclassmen team.
7-13, really?
They weren't. They didn't even have a full team prior to the head coach getting there.
If you say so.
So I'm trying to look on the bright side for them, even though I don't follow them.
And the Hurricanes 14-7. Again, not happy with the way they've been playing lately, though. Tom Izzo, Michigan State's Tom Izzo, wins his 700th. Seems low.
It does, as long as he's been there.
Not even close to being in the top 10 all time.
No,
I think he's 10th of current D1 men's coaches in wins. That should tell you something. And I looked at the list this morning.
Yeah.
Some of the names ahead of him below Jim Larinaga of the Hurricanes has got more wins than Tom Izzo. Believe it or not.
Oh my.
I never would have thought that. Never would have thought that. Rick Barnes at Tennessee's got more.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, Michigan State has had a lot of mediocrity. So they haven't had a lot of stellar seasons that you would have thought.
Well, yeah, they don't go 30-3. It's usually they go 19-14 or 21-12, and
yeah, they don't reach that elite upper echelon.
Right. But again, I'm not a betting man. We do not condone betting. In fact, we kind of hate it here on Sports Frenzy. But if I was a betting man, there's no way I would have said Tom Izzo was barely in the top 10 of current
coaches.
D1 coaches when it comes to overall wins.
Yeah.
Of course, our favorite sport, the NBA. And again, they're making news. They are somehow making news. It's keeping them here as a talking point on Sports Frenzy. Dave, you know Van Halen's my one true love in life, right?
Yes.
Outside of Sports Frenzy, of course. There was a great song once that some people think it was great. I think it's one of the weaker Van Halen songs of all time. Love Walks In.
I'm trying to avoid that one.
Well, when I saw this headline, it kind of made me think of that song. Adam Silver is getting extended as commissioner of the NBA through the end of the decade. And I was thinking of Sammy Hagar singing, "Some kind of alien. He runs the NBA until 2030. And he'll fuck it up." Yes. Just like with all these other fucking sports, you basically have to die or quit to lose your job as commissioner.
Yeah. Even though the Nosferatu alien is still running the show.
Yep. All-Stars have been selected. Record 20th selection for one, LeBron James. Yay.
Woohoo.
New York Knicks playing out of their fucking minds. Could end up being a challenger to your Boston Celtics.
They could be.
But Julius Randle dislocated his right shoulder. He is out indefinitely.
Definitely going to be an issue.
I kind of root for Tom Thibodeau, though. I always liked
Tibbs. The way he got run out of Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, good for them. Good for them. The Wizards have an interim head coach. Brian Keefe has been promoted. They didn't want to destroy the legacy of Wes Unseld, so his son, who was the head coach, Wes Unseld Jr., will get a nice front office gig. Because, of course, again, one of the few players that was actually good in the history of the Washington Bullets. Oh, I'm sorry, Wizards. Not the Bullets!
Because too many were flying in Washington.
Then, of course, we talked last week about the fact we had history. Fourth time ever we had two players on the same night in the NBA score 60 or more points. And then a week later, it happens again. So for the fifth time ever, on January the 26th, the Mavs, Luka Doncic, puts up 73 on the Hawks.
Whew.
73 points, tied for the fourth most in a game of all time. And then on the same night, Devin Booker of the Suns put up 62, losing to the Pacers. So amazingly, these four players over the last few weeks who put up 60 or more points went 2-2.
Yep.
Not 4-0.
Not 4-0 as you would think. Yeah, that's kind of bad.
And the NBA is all about teamwork.
Yeah,
Team play.
No, it's not. It's all the individual effort anymore.
They had a great, and I'm gonna say something bad later on about my Yahoo Sports morning newsletter, but they had a great side-by-side shot in the newsletter this morning explaining the offensive explosion.
Yeah, it's called lack of defense.
They showed Kobe Bryant when he scored 81. They had a screenshot of the defense and how the 10 players on the court were set up.
Yeah.
And then they had a shot, I believe, it might not be from the Luka Doncic game, but I'm pretty sure it was, and showed the difference and showed how in the more recent game, this year's game, how you've got all the players spread out along the 3-point line, whereas with Kobe,
everybody was in the paint. Yeah.
Within 8 to 10 feet of the rim.
Yeah, defending.
Yeah.
Gee, there's a novel concept. But hey, so we get together with the elder statesmen for the NFL draft, night 1.
Yep, every year.
So
Sports frenzy tradition.
This June, are we going to do June 26th and 27th to celebrate the NBA's first 2-day draft extravaganza? No, we are not.
No.
Nobody cares about the NBA draft.
No, because they're all crapshoots. Doesn't matter what sport you're talking about. The draft in any sport is a crapshoot.
But there's less knowns in the NBA.
Because they destroyed it.
Yeah.
They destroyed
the one and dones, if they even go. No player development whatsoever.
We used to, when we were younger, when I was a child, when I was a teenager, we knew the players in college because we'd watch college basketball.
They would play 3 or 4 years.
What did I tell you before we started taping? I told you, okay, now we got one football game left in NASCAR. So Saturdays are now a wasteland until the time comes when you got to go out and mow the lawn, right?
Yep.
And do yard work. It used to be this time of year, you at least had college basketball
on Saturdays
that you cared about because you knew the players.
Yeah.
You knew who played for Duke, North Carolina, Kentucky.
DePaul. Back in the day when they were good.
Now with the one, like you said, the one and dones, the kids now get to skip college altogether again.
Yeah.
The players coming in from overseas, you don't know these kids in the draft. You just don't.
And it's a bigger crapshoot than ever because you don't know how prepared are they to take the next step.
Yeah. Which one's going to be the next one to...
They're not physically
to date a
prepared.
14-year-old. Which one's going to be the next one to brandish a gun in a pickup game? God help you if you're an NBA GM. That's all I'm going to say.
I wouldn't want it.
To have to vet these kids, to put up with the egos. these kids being told from the age of 8 or 9,
oh, you're going to be a star.
you're going to be the next LeBron James. And then having to look at that fucker as a role model. And I'm sorry, he is not. I know he does good things.
But
But
on
his
the court,
persona.
on the court, he is not a role model. He's a whiny little baby.
Exactly. Exactly. So, of course, we have to turn our attention to sports other than the Big Four. So, of course, we have tennis, the Australian Open. Maybe we're seeing a changing of the guard. Possibly, maybe.
Potentially.
Yannick Sinner wins his first Grand Slam at this year's Australian Open. Pretty much dominated.
Yeah.
Kind of bitch slap, Djokovic a little bit.
Yes, he did. Although the upstarts really ran away down in Australia.
Yep. Yeah, and thank God there were no poisonous snakes on the court. And of course, in the women's side, Arnya Sabalenka wins her second Grand Slam, which happens to be her second straight Australian. Boy, she soaks this in too. Have you seen the picture? She just poses with the trophy. She will go out and put on the fancy, expensive dress and sit there.
She's living it up.
She loves it. She's soaking it up.
Because you never know when it's going to come to a crashing halt.
Yep. And there are some unbelievable statistics out there I saw for a certain generation of tennis player that unfortunately got stuck having to try to wade through Nadal, Federer, Djokovic. The numbers are just unbelievable. How hard and how difficult it was for this generation, if that was not your name.
Oh yeah.
To try to win a major.
I mean, those
unbelievably
three were
difficult.
Just insane in their dominance.
But now we're seeing, of course, the cracks with Federer gone, Nadal pretty much almost gone, Djokovic.
He's getting up there for a tennis player.
Yep. So
he's still got a couple of years. He could still,
and he's in phenomenal. I mean, absolutely phenomenal shape.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
Yep. And I have a feeling when it's all said and done, he will set a record for the most majors that will never be broken. And I know it's difficult. Very hard to say that in any sport.
It's going to be damn difficult.
Yep. Now, when it comes to golf, last week, of course, one of your badasses.
Yep.
Was amateur Nick Dunlap. Well, he decided to turn pro.
And why not? You got the first win out. You've got your card lined up already. You're in, guaranteed to be able to play. Might as well.
I would have just liked to have seen him join Liv, just to fuck Rory over.
Yeah, just to give the big screw job to the head of the PGA.
And then this past week, of course, was the Farmers Insurance Open. We've just started the 2024 season here. And again, another milestone. Rookie Mathieu Pavon. And yes, I'm saying it the right way because he is a Frenchman.
Oui, oui.
Mathieu Pavon at 13 under wins the Farmers Insurance Open. And guess what, kids? He is the first Frenchman to ever win a PGA Tour event.
Bum, 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 bum.
We are French. Bum, 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 bum. Oui, oui.
Bum, 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 bum. Oh, and now the PGA's reached a deal with Strategic Sports Group, a consortium of billionaire sports team owners, putting $3 billion into a new for-profit entity, PGA Tour Enterprises. This, to me, is a last-ditch effort by the PGA to try and compete with the Saudi money.
And you and I talked about it. And again, I love this podcast, and I do a ton of research for it. I started to read this article and I was like, I don't have the time, I don't have the willpower to try to sift through this and figure out what the hell this is.
Yeah.
This is a confusing
It
mess to
allows
me.
for a co-investment from Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, subject to necessary regulatory approvals, blah, blah, blah. But nearly 200 of the PGA members would have access to a program that would allow them to become equity holders in PGA Tour enterprises. They would collectively have access to $1.5 billion in equity grants. So you get a grant to opt in to be a part of this investment group, all based on where you fall within your rankings. So again, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer.
Ain't America great?
So I would say if you're a top tier golfer like Rory, you get a smaller grant because you have more money to buy in on your own. Let this young kid get the top tier grant where he doesn't have to
Nick
fork anything
Dunlap.
over. Yep.
Nick
Let Nick
Dunlap.
Dunlap give him the full amount to be fully vested because he doesn't have any money coming in.
Yeah.
Because he was an amateur, you fucked him out of his prize money in the last.
Meanwhile, Rory, again, we mentioned this last week. Meanwhile, Rory was making $1.5 million of dirty Saudi money.
Yep. And of course, who is going to lead this group? None other than PGA Commissioner Jay Monahan. He's going to be the CEO of this new upstart equity group.
And we still haven't gotten official confirmation or an agreement with Live Golf.
Right.
Because they are stuck on, they want team play to be an integral part of whatever agreement they come to with the PGA.
You know, I think team play would be fun at certain events. Incorporate it. It adds a nice little twist.
Well, I always said, now when they tried to set up, and they set up the PGA set up the FedEx playoffs, that was kind of a step in the right direction, but
They give too many loopholes for people to bow out.
right. They should almost look at the model that the NBA, God help me, the NBA set up. Because we mentioned this last week, and it might come to pass, despite what the racist Kendrick Perkins wants. Joel Embiid might not qualify.
Yeah, because he's taken too many games off.
Now he's got a knee issue. This is what I always said about the PGA. You need to force, I'm sorry for that word, but you need to force Rory, Tiger, all the big names to play a certain amount of tournaments to qualify for the playoffs.
Right. You just can't, because of my name, I'm automatically up for it. No, bullshit.
No. And again, we should be running everything because we want some of that Saudi money.
Hint, hint.
Yeah, I'll sell my soul.
We could be bought.
Yeah. I have no shame. None at all. All right. I do want to make an apology, but I want to tie it into one last Clint Eastwood badass of the week. Going back to football. Now, we talked about Travis Kelce, and God help me, we're not going to talk about Taylor Swift and all that horse shit. But we were being very complimentary of one Travis Kelce for the game he had. 11 catches, 116 yards, and a TD.
Yep.
Against the Ravens. But what we did not acknowledge, which we should, and which I will give Travis Kelce another Clint Eastwood Badass of the Week award. He is now the leader, the number one top dog all time, beating Jerry Rice. Elite company. Most receptions ever in postseason history in the NFL.
That's impressive as hell.
Yes. So, Travis,
Congratulations on that.
Yep, you, Peter Schrager, and that dude from Jeopardy, the Cubs fan, with the wretched Albert Pujols, my 3 badasses of the week. See, I'm positive. I got 3 badasses this week.
You do.
I love humanity.
It's people I hate.
Yeah. We're living in a society. Now, my apology has to be, now I got bad information, but that's no excuse. So I will take the hit on this. I had multiple sources last week that told me that the guy who looked back in disgust at Taylor Swift in the previous game with the Chiefs, not this one here with the Baltimore Ravens, but the Buffalo Bills game.
Yeah.
When I mentioned last week that it was Patrick Mahomes' dad looking back in disgust at the stupid white women,
Yeah.
it was not Patrick Mahomes' dad.
Oh,
It was just a random dude who happened to be able to hang out in the luxury boxes who looked back at the stupid white women. So I will apologize, but I was not the only one fooled. And it took them like 4 days to finally come out and say, no, that's not Pat Mahomes' dad.
There we go. Got a moment of silence out of the baseball world. Jimmy Williams, longtime manager coach, has passed away. He was a coach with the Braves and Phillies for their 95 and 2008 World Series wins.
910 total wins.
Yeah.
Lots.
That's
very
impressive.
Very impressive resume for Mr. Jimmy Williams.
Yes. So thoughts and prayers to his family and friends.
Are you ready?
Yeah, let's pivot.
Now, unfortunately, we are going to play Dumbass or Not. But a couple of these they go beyond the pale. Let's put it that way. It's almost, literally criminal what some of these people have done. So, keep that in mind as we go through this week's edition of Red Foreman's Dumbass or Not, America's favorite game show. Your contestant, as always, is your Uncle Dave, the Conquistador, Dave Height.
Let us begin.
We'll start off light before we get to the heavy shit. Now, we mentioned earlier that Tom Izzo of Michigan State won his 700th game coaching in D1. Now, a little aside here. I hate fault finders in certain situations, like a party, social gathering, just people hanging out. And if somebody says something,
why didn't you do it this way?
That's not the way you're supposed to say it. You're supposed to say it this way. You're not pronouncing that correctly. Those are the fault finders that I hate. Let people just live their fucking lives. Don't tear them down to make yourself feel better. But, now Dave and I read a ton of books. Well, he reads a ton. I read like 5 pounds. But we notice people paid. This is where I'm going. People who are paid to do a job involving language, involving words, they need to get it right. Yes. So we're not fault finding when it comes to them. Dave and I have noticed, particularly with Spencer Books, the great Robert B. Parker, his publisher.
Any books anymore. The publishers, the editors suck anymore. Oh my God, how many misspellings do you find? Punctuation errors. Lack of
the wrong tense. The wrong subject in the line.
The wrong name being used.
Right. So, when I say I hate fault finders, I'm talking about in a general sense. Idiots who live in their mom's basement, who go on social media and pick apart people. You're assholes. Okay? But people who get paid, again, editors, publishers, reporters. You're getting paid to make sure your language is correct. The words you type or use are correct. So when we find fault with you, we're not being assholes. You're the ones who are assholes
You need
because.
to be held accountable professionally.
So again, long story short, short story long. Doing my research this morning, and of course, Tom Izzo gets his 700th career win. I write it down. I write down Tom Izzo because I know Tom Izzo. You know, he's been a fixture in my life in terms of watching and covering sports for 20 plus years, minimum. So I wrote down Tom Izzo. I look back at the screen where I see the story, and I have to do a double take. I know double take really works well on a podcast, the visual there.
Yeah.
But Yahoo Sports AM newsletter. Shame on you. Mike Izzo got his 700th career coaching victory. I wrote Tom. But I looked and I'm like,
Mike.
My brain actually had to correct them.
Oh, goodness.
Their newsletter, Yahoo Sports morning newsletter, said Mike Izzo got his 700th career coaching victory. So again, hate fault finders, but in this case, they are paid to do this, report this accurately and correctly.
They need to be factual.
Dumbass?
It was AI, wasn't it?
Who knows anymore?
Yeah, complete
that
dumbassery.
Gets scarier every day.
You cannot, no. That's complete dumbassery.
I hate to say it, I'm more and more convinced Skynet is coming.
I told you so.
All right, now we get on to some nasty shit. And this is
These
the kind
are the vile.
This
the
is
vile of the vile.
This is the kind of stuff that I hate because when we talk about social issues, now these are sports issues, but sports in many ways reflects society. I get mad about the one idiot, the one moron, the one dumbass, or the two or three who reflect badly on all of us. Anybody who thinks racism is good should be put down like a dog right now. Nobody thinks racism is good.
No, it's a horrible thing.
We all hate racism, but there are these perpetual racist, nasty fucknuts out there who continue to make everybody else look bad when they do something as heinous as this. In Wichita, Kansas, at a baseball field, Jackie Robinson, they had a gorgeous bronze statue of Jackie Robinson, the first great black baseball player.
Yeah, that's where they have the Negro Hall of Fame.
They've got two assholes with a truck on camera coming in, cutting down the statue and stealing it. And now it has been found, pieces of it burned in a
melted,
dumpster.
Absolutely freaking pathetic. These assholes should be strung up by their gonads and used as fucking piñatas.
See, that's my thought too. And I know that's not the way we're supposed to handle things, but again, it makes me so mad and so angry that we try to live our lives the right way and try to be good people, and now
you have assholes out there who still
perpetuate
retards.
Perpetuate this racist bullshit. And they continue, this continues the narrative for the media. Because the media will run with this and say, look, we're a racist nation. We're all racist.
No, we're not all. You have a handful of assholes out there trying to bring this country back a couple hundred years. And it's frosts my nuts that these morons still exist.
They don't even get us a seat on the sports frenzy plane of doom. We'll just put them in the cargo hold.
Oh, they don't even make that. They get doused with jet fuel and burned on the tarmac.
Chip Ganassi. Good Lord, Chip Ganassi.
Dude, is it so hard to watch where you're driving?
See, this is the thing. You can say it's an accident, it happens. I'm sorry. We're not talking about a dark neighborhood where somebody's dog has gotten. We're talking about a controlled environment, the motorhome lot at Daytona Speedway before the Rolex 24. Chip Ganassi runs over and kills the puppy of one of his drivers, Devlin DeFrancesco. Like you said, how fucking hard is it for you to pay attention to where you're going?
And it took him how long to apologize?
And I'm sure he'll try to turn it into a feel-good moment, and he'll buy him a brand new puppy.
But still, the devastation you caused that driver and his family.
Chip Ganassi, you're a dumbass. I'm sorry. I should defer to you.
Oh, he is a
you are the contestant.
He was going to, if we weren't going to play, he was my dumbass of the week.
All right. So I know we're probably going to go 4 for 4 here. I would assume we're 3 for 3.
Oh, absolutely.
And this one, of course, will close out with the ultimate negative. But again, when you're dealing with the media, and we saw what happened, I'm not saying this is a lie, this is a false accusation. I am not saying that. But we saw what happened in the past with Rolling Stone magazine and the Duke lacrosse team. So you have to say innocent until proven guilty. But it sure as fuck doesn't look good. 4 players in the NHL who were mysteriously put over the last week or so on leave for various reasons have now been charged with sexual assault going back to the 2018 Team Canada World Junior Championship.
This story has been out there since 2018.
Well, 8 players total were involved.
Right.
And there was a 2022 monetary settlement that Team Canada paid out under the table to try to make this go away.
But these assholes have to be held accountable.
And again,
obviously, if they paid a settlement, something happened.
You've got to believe it. And again, Rolling Stone, burn
sorry.
in hell, because you cast doubt on things like this. With that Duke lacrosse crap, now we can't listen to this 100% and say they're guilty. No, even though they most likely are.
There's a damn good chance it is, because sex abuse in Canada revolving around hockey is rampant.
Well, of course, and we know completely different. The Blackhawks, what they went through, different scenario, but still.
Oh, sex abuse in the hockey culture is awful.
So we will see what comes of this. We will see if the players involved, the 4 current NHL players, get cut, suspended, what happens to them. But in the grand scheme of things, that is a small, teeny, tiny, minor part of this.
Stop being assholes, people. Don't be dumbasses.
And this, again, ties into what we just talked about with the Jackie Robinson statue. This culture, the hashtag, we hate the hashtag #MeToo culture, because they go too far the other way. All men are evil. All men are rapists. All men hate women. All men beat on women. And that's not even fucking close to true. We all know it. But this kind of stuff, 8 men gang raping a woman.
Yeah, inexcusable.
This is the kind of shit that feeds that narrative.
How pathetic are these people?
Well, this is the shit that feeds that narrative.
Yeah.
And it makes all men look bad. And I get tired of it.
And again, they should be strung up by their nuts and used as piñatas.
And again, I'm sorry that a lot of the Red Foreman dumbasses of the week weren't the light fun,
Sometimes
stupid stuff
you
we
have to
normally
deal
have.
with the vile, lowest level of humanity.
And again, with the Jackie Robinson statue and with these hockey players from Team Canada, I really my big point in bringing these two to light in this segment is, again, we cannot generalize. Number one, the perpetrators should be ground down under the heel of the law to the greatest extent possible. Like you said, string them up by the balls and treat them like piñatas. But in the greater scheme of things, let's, number one, get along.
It's
All
not
races,
hard.
all genders. Men aren't all beating up women and raping women. White men don't hate all black men. It's just a generalization that instances like this perpetrate. The media jumps on and perpetrates it. It's not true. It is a small sampling, gross, heinous examples, but small examples that do not reflect society as a whole.
And the normal, intelligent, sane, upstanding people need to fucking take a stand and put a stop to shit like this when it actually happens.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
If you see something happening on the street, step in and stop it. Just don't fucking videotape
Yeah,
it.
don't pull your phone out and take a picture or a video.
How about you
of it.
actually try and save somebody's damn life?
But again, we're trying to do this as a public service as we wrap up here this week. We're trying to point out the ills of society connected to sports. And I hate to say it, it's been said for decades and decades, but it's very poignant. Can't we all just get along?
There you go.
And by the way, fuck the media, because I still think they're the big problem with
perpetuate
all this.
most of the issues. Hey, guess what? It's time to pimp the weekend edition.
I was hoping you were going to say that.
Check us out for your Saturday morning hangover cure.
Yes, this week Dave and I have got new songs from Judas Priest, Mark Knopfler, Blackberry Smoke. Dave's catching up with Monsieur Spade and True Detective, the fourth season.
Yep.
Night Country. I will have my review of season 1 of Ted on Peacock. I've got story time featuring one of the greatest horror movies of all time. I also have a book review. Shocking.
What?
Shocking.
You've got one and I don't? What's the world coming to?
Well, as I talked about last week, I alluded to this whole reading and then watching these stories about these aging classic detectives, whether it be Sam Spade or Philip Marlowe in the case of my book review.
There we go.
There's like a pattern here. There's like something going on with me connecting to these aging heroes.
And my movie will kind of tie that in as well.
Yes, it will, because I think I mentioned that was my third in this little triumvirate. So this will fit in very, very well. So, of course, we will have plenty to
discuss.
And we will have plenty to play. Red Foreman's Dumbass or Not, the weekend edition.
Yep. So check it out Saturday morning.
All right, kids. He's your Uncle Dave.
He's your Uncle Kev.
We love you. Check us out again if you just want to listen to sports next Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Otherwise, don't miss Saturday morning, the weekend edition. Say good night to the kids, Dave.
Good night to the kids, Dave.